boys and girls. My name is Miss Laura, and this evening I would like to talk to you about voting. Now, you may have seen that there's a lot going on around you right now with the election, choosing a new president, and there's a lot going on around you right now. So I'm sure that you have seen signs in people's gardens, or maybe the news is on in your house and you're seeing who is going to be our next president. Maybe you went with your parents or guardians to see them vote, to accompany them when they went to vote. Maybe you even got a special sticker. Well, I'm here to tell you that your voice, whether you are 2, 3, 4, 5, 15, 16, your voice is important. So, whether you're an elementary student, whether you're a high school student, if you are virtual learning, homeschooling, attending school, in each situation, your voice is important. Now, it's important to understand the election process. So that really means how this is all working. How does this work? Now, I really don't know. I'm still trying to work out all of the details myself, and I'm not sure I ever will know all the details, but it's important that you try to learn and maybe start with history. Did you know that history, this country's history, has played an important part in a lot of the election rules nowadays? And there are lots of rules when it comes to election. It doesn't matter who you're voting for. There are rules in how you vote, how the votes are counted, who is chosen. There are just so many rules that I can't even begin to get into. But all of those rules were planned for a reason. I bet some of you have heard your parents or guardians say before, if you question a rule, why do I have to do that? Why this? Why that? Because I said so sometimes, but there is normally a reason, usually a reason behind the rules. Now, with this country's election process, there are definitely a lot of rules and there are reasons for them. So learning your country's history, which you will begin to do in school, but asking questions is also important. Now, you can ask your parents questions, you can ask family friends questions, you can use the internet with your parents' permission, you can talk to your pastor. There are so many people that you can talk to if you have questions about your country's history. Even if people aren't that schooled in the country's history, like I probably couldn't answer that many of your questions, to be totally honest. But I can lead you in the right direction to finding out the answers to your questions. Now, your voice. This is the important part that I want to get across today. You need to know that your voice and your family's voice is being heard. And that is what voting is about. Counting every vote. That is making your voice heard. Now, you have to be 18, I believe, to vote in this country. And I know that a lot of you watching this are probably not yet 18. And some of you probably not even 8 yet. But the day's coming that you will be getting to vote. So, as I said, it's important to learn that history. But you are not too young to learn how we can use our voices appropriately and effectively. Basically, using your voice for good. At your age, however old you are watching right now, your voice can be heard in a lot of situations. You might not be able to vote for the president, for the next president, until you are 18 years old. But there are a lot of other things that you can be voting on. At Grace Church, at Grace United Methodist Church in Gaithersburg, we encourage you to share your voice. we really encourage you. All children and youth, we encourage your voices. Your voices are so important to not just the future of the church, but the present, which means the now. And there is a lot of voting on the now. We vote on many important decisions at Grace Church. Grown-ups do, but also children and youth vote at Grace Church. Let me give you some examples. This past Sunday at youth group, which is for children 6th grade to 12th grade, so children that wouldn't be normally going to the polls and voting for the next president until they were 18, they were voting, our youth group, we had almost 20 youth voting for the next youth president and the next youth vice president. Now, they hold important roles at Grace, and that's a whole other thing that I can go into another time. But the president, the youth president at Grace Church, will be going to meetings, will be able to vote in some of the meetings on church decisions, and they will be a voice. We had a couple of other youth leaders that have aged out and gone to college, and like Abby would come to every church council meeting, and she would express the opinion of the other youth who had shared their opinions with her. So she spoke for the youth after their opinions had been shared. So youth voices are being heard. Children's voices are being heard. You are never too young to use your voice. Next Sunday, the youth group will also be voting on a new youth logo. And that logo is going to be seen in so many different places. It's going to be on banners and t-shirts that people might wear all across the world. And it will say Grace United Methodist Church and UMYF, which is the new name for our youth group, United Methodist Youth Fellowship. The youth are designing a logo, and we will be voting on which logo we will be using, and that logo could travel the world. If somebody's got a t-shirt on and they're traveling to Africa, to England, to India, wherever they may be, that you see the importance that your voice has, that just voting on a logo could have someone look at your t-shirt and say, oh, that looks like they've got a really strong youth group, and I should maybe go and check that out. So I just want to let you know how important your voice is. Now, at my house, we vote on things too. We vote on things like what we're going to have for dinner. You know, some people might say, oh, I think we should have pizza tonight. And I might say, I think we should have vegetable stir fry. Now you can guess which one normally wins in my house. But that is a vote. We also vote on what we call our animals. We have lots of animals around here, and my animals are often having other animals, and so we often vote on names. And we vote in different ways. We all cast a vote. Sometimes we might pull people's opinions out of a hat, and that's how we end up choosing what's for dinner, or, you know, what we might sit around a table and discuss and then vote afterwards. But we do, and we have been doing that since my children were old enough to talk, were old enough to say yes or no, because their voice mattered. Now, I'm not saying that voting for what you're going to have for dinner is as important as choosing the next president. I'm not saying that. I am just encouraging you to use your voice now. Your voice is important. So as all this election stuff is going on around you, and you can see love, hate, anger, joy, there are a lot of emotions going on right now, which I know can be very confusing. But just think, boys and girls, one day you will have the vote also to go and vote for the next president. But until then, I encourage you Learn your country's history. Learn what you will be voting for. Use your voice now. Use your voice for the good now, because we need you. We need your voice. Now, I'm going to end with some Bible quotes from the book of Romans. I'm just going to go ahead and read them, and I think you'll be able to relate to what I'm talking about, boys and girls. Just think about everything that you're seeing around you right now with the elections and how tense things can be right now. You know, as I said, we're seeing love and we're seeing hate. So keep that in mind when I read this to you. I'm reading Romans 12. Let's go to verse 6. We have different gifts. I'm reading from the Adventure Bible. We have different gifts according to the grace given to each of us. If your gift is prophesying, then prophesy in accordance with your faith. If it's serving, then serve. If it is teaching, then teach. If it is to encourage, then give encouragement. If it is giving, then give generously. If it is to lead, do it diligently. If it is to show mercy, do it cheerfully. Now, this is in the Bible, boys and girls. This is from a long time ago. This book was written a long, long time ago. And we can read it now and relate to everything that's going on around us all the time. Let's go on to love in action. Verse 9. Love must be sincere. So it must be sincere, it must be true. Hate what is not good and cling to what is good. Be devoted to one another in love. No matter who you're voting for, boys and girls, be devoted to one another in love. Honor one another above yourselves. Be joyful in hope. Now, as I said, I'm relating this right now to what we're seeing around us. That I'm seeing people that are hopeful for whoever they are choosing to be the next president, whoever they have voted for. Here it says, be joyful in hope. And we're not seeing that everywhere. So really listen to this, boys and girls. Turn to the Bible. Turn to these rules that God has given us. Because being joyful in hope is so much better than being hateful in hope. Okay, so be faithful in prayer. Always turn to God in everything you do. Always turn to God. I like to always think that I'm always on, and I've said this before, I'm always on a telephone call to God, and I never hang that phone up. I'm always having that conversation. So always anything that you are confused about or worried about or not quite understanding, be faithful in your prayer. Share with the Lord's people who are in need. Practice hospitality. Now, that's something that we're going to be talking about a lot coming up, especially in this season. People that are in need. Practice hospitality. So giving and helping people in need. We have a lot of things coming up at Grace Church that are actually going on at Grace Church, like the mitten tree. Soon we will be having the angel tree. There is Give Your Love program. So we will be talking about that in future Engage sessions. But practice hospitality. Live in harmony with one another. Live in harmony with one another. This is the last thing I'm going to read to you here, verse 11. No, verse 21, I'm sorry. Do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good. Now, evil can be quite a strong word, I know. Now, what I'm reading from this, do not be overcome by evil. Do not be overcome by negativity, bad things that you are seeing around you. I'm seeing so many people getting upset and angry and hateful. Overcome that with good. And boys and girls, what is good? What do we know to be good? We know that this is good. We know that this Bible is good. We know that prayer is good. And we know that leaning on each other and our church friends and our pastors, that is good. So always, boys and girls, if you feel worry, if you are confused, turn to God in prayer and you will find answers. You will find answers in here. And if you ever need any help, if you need a Bible, I will send you one. If you ever need any help knowing where to begin or where to turn in the Bible, do get in touch with me because I would love to have that conversation with you. All right, my lovely boys and girls, I hope you enjoy the rest of your evening. I love each and every one of you, and I will see you virtually next Tuesday for an autumn craft. Okay, everyone. Cheers and good night.